So we'll first work on rendering the messages uploaded using the image option, and then in the next section we'll work on rendering the files uploaded using the file option. So the first thing we need to actually do is go into conversations.ts inside our backend. And at the bottom, if you remember, we have this function that takes in the type of the message and then returns what content to send. So now we have two different types of messages added. We have the case text as before, of course, but we also have case of image. And in this case, we want to return a text which just says image. And remember, this is the text that's shown in the conversations list. So this is just the last message that was sent in the chat. So for case of file, we'll say return file and save. Another thing we need to do is go into next config. And since these images aren't coming from our own website and they're coming from upload thing, we need to tell Next.js to allow these images to be downloaded onto our website. So we'll add an images option over here, and we'll say that the allowed domains are an array. Firstly, we have img.clerk.com just in case clerk is showing any images like avatars or anything. But we also have utfs.io, which I assume is upload thing file service. So we'll save. And now we can get started with actually showing the images. So let's go all the way to the top where we have the conversation ID folder, and then inside components body we'll create another component called image preview.tsx. Let's just do a quick tsrafce. Then let's go into message.tsx, and if you remember, we had this case where we check for type is equal to text, and if it wasn't, we rendered null. So below that we can just add another type and check type is equal to image, which is what we're focusing on in this lesson. And if it is, render the image preview component, otherwise render null. And we'll be taking in a prop which will be called URLs, which is the URLs of the images or videos we want to show, and then we just pass in the content. So now that that's done, we just need to focus on image preview now. So for the props, we have URLs, which is a list of strings of the URLs of the images and videos. Let's destructure that over here, and there should be string. We make a function called const is video file because we can only render images of files for this case. So we take in the file name, which is string, and we create a regular expression. So we say const video file pattern is equal to // I, and then inside the forward slashes we say backslash dot to show that it begins with a dot. Inside the brackets we can either have mp4 or webm or OGG or MOV, which are the most common file patterns, and then end with a $sign. And that's the regular expression for checking if a file is a video. And then we do return video file pattern dot test file name. So we have that function. Now on this outermost div, we will add a class name. We'll be using some logic. So we'll be using CN. It'll be a grid by default, gap of 2, justify items to the start. Now for the dictionary, we'll say grid dash calls dash 1. So only have one grid column if the URLs dot length is equal to 1. Otherwise, have two columns if URLs dot length is greater than 1. Save. Now inside here, we want to go through all the URLs. So URLs dot map, get the URL and the index that we are at. We check const is video is equal to is video file, pass in the current URL. So we'll find out if the current image or video that we're rendering is a video. We'll return a dialog from our components folder. Key is equal to index. First child is a div. Give it a class name, again using CN. It'll have a relative and cursor dash pointer. And then we will give it W of 28, H of 28, max W full, if not is video. So basically if it's an image. Inside this div, we have a dialog trigger. It'll be as child. And then we check if is video, just do null for now and null in the other case also. So if it is a video, what we want to render out for the trigger is a div, class name of aspect dash w dash 16, aspect dash h dash 9, and h full, so that we're rendering out the thumbnail in a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. And then of course the child for a video will be a video tag. For the poster, we will say the URL is the poster for this video, and the class name is object dash cover, w dash full, h dash full, and rounded dash md. Now we need to include the source tag inside here. So the source is src. We will do string interpolation. We get URL, so the URL of the video, and then we say hash t is equal to 0.1. What this basically does is it scrolls the video to the 0.1 second and then uses that as the source, and is basically using the first frame of the video as the thumbnail. That's the essential effect that happens. And then for type, we'll just say video slash mp4. And since we did change the next config, let's just restart the server. And now we see we actually have a video and the thumbnail for it being rendered out. So that's for the video. Let's move on to the image, and then when we click on it, we want to actually expand it and play it. So we'll just work on that in a second. But in case the item is not a video, it's an image, we want to use the image tag from next slash image. The src is equal to URL. The alt is equal to uploaded image. Referrer policy is equal to no dash referrer. Class name is rounded dash md. Layout is equal to fill, and then object fit is equal to cover. And now we can see that even for images, we have the images being rendered out as thumbnails. So these are just the triggers. We actually want to show something when they're clicked on. So below the dialog trigger, we'll add the dialog content. Firstly will be the dialog header, then the dialog title. We'll say is video. If it is video, video preview, else image preview. Once the header is done, we'll create a div. It will have a class name of w-full h-96 relative flex items center and justify center. Inside the div, we will check is video. If it is, render out a video tag, else render out an image tag. So it's pretty similar to what we had before. For video, we want the controls to be present. We want the poster to be equal to URL. For the class name, we want w-full. Then inside we will have the source. So the source will have an src again of what we had before. So tilde $URL hash t is equal to 0.1, and then type is equal to video slash mp4. So that's the video. Now for the image, src is equal to URL, alt is equal to uploaded image, referrer policy is equal to no dash referrer, layout is equal to fill, and then object fit is equal to contain, and save. So now if we click on an image, we get the image preview title, and then we can see the image a bit larger. Same for the other one. And then for the video, if we click on it, we get the video loaded with the first second being shown. And if we play, we can see that the video is being played, and then we can close it. So now we can render images and videos that we have uploaded, but of course we see that we still can't render out files. So in the next section, we'll work on that.